Hey, how we doing, everybody?
Good morning, guys.
Joe here.
Kevin.
So we wanted to start the day today with something a little fun. We've been doing videos here and there lately about movies, movie categories, and well, we thought let's start top five favorite movies today for you guys.
Right. Now, keep in mind, guys, we're not talking about what we think the best movies are. We're talking about ones we'd rather sit down and just watch whenever we like. I watched X for the 9 millionth time and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those so rewatchability is
Mhm.
going to be a big factor
Yes.
in what's on this list. So I loved Manchester by the Sea. I love Schindler's List. I don't consider those movies rewatchable
Tough
for
hang.
obvious exactly for obvious
Yeah.
reasons. Um, Obviously, Lawrence of Arabia is a great movie.
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't think I could sit down and just be like, I'm going to watch Lawrence of Arabia
Yeah.
again today. I got 4 hours to kill watching sand dunes.
Yeah, right.
Um,
And this is a top five, so who's to
sure.
say what the top 10 is going to be? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and look, obviously these change. This is
Mhm.
like how I feel today,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and I didn't even think that much about order. But
Yeah.
but what I did was I thought about if I was going to sit down and just pop on a movie today and tomorrow and
Mhm.
the day after that, what are the movies that I'd like? Yeah, I'll flip through and
You
find
just don't
that
get
and
tired
watch
of
it.
them.
Yeah, I will not get tired of
Yeah.
them. Maybe. I mean, Pulp Fiction used to be at the top of this list, but I
Yeah.
think after 900 times seeing Pulp Fiction,
When I was in high school, I watched
I
that
think
all the time.
I think I might have like okay, I don't need to go see watch Pulp Fiction again
Yeah.
because I can. Once you get to the point, it was like me with Fletch when I was a kid, where you can kind of like say the
Yeah.
dialogue along with the
Mhm.
film. You're like, I might be done for a while with this.
Well, also as the years go by, movies change
Your
and
taste
your
changed too,
taste
right?
changes too a little.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get into this so we're not wasting everybody's time all day.
Slight caveat: we both love The Godfather. The
Right.
Godfather might be our favorite
The,
movie,
yeah, the,
but that's kind of
the
how many
Godfather,
people say
the
that.
Godfather slash Godfather 2 as a marriage.
They're super watchable, but
Right.
let's face it, nobody's watching Godfather 2 every day.
That's right.
Even though I love it, it's
I'd,
probably the
I'd
best
love
movie
to
ever
watch
made.
both of them all day, every day, but who's got 7 hours to kill?
I know, right?
Yeah. All right.
Oh, we got a
Kitty, look out, Kitty.
little kitty in the way there.
Yeah. So we're gonna go five, four, three, two, one, and again, my order is fairly random, even though we're gonna go. We had to have some kind of order.
Yeah,
So
we try to mix it up a little bit.
start it off with your five.
The Big Lebowski. I love this movie. I think it's hilarious. Probably one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
It
Different movie for the Coen brothers.
it almost made my list as well.
Mhm.
That would be one of those 10 desert island movies,
Yes.
so you could watch over and over again.
Yeah.
Lebowski'd be on my list
And
for
quote it
sure.
endlessly.
Yeah, it's funny every time.
It's
The cast is great. The writing is so weird and great.
it's it is hilarious and very quotable, but at the same time, it does have a message to it, and it makes you just feel good. It's very cathartic by the end of the film. It just has everything you want in it, really.
It's a very, very Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
All
What's your
right.
five?
On my five, I don't know what was that note there.
SR.
Oh, Shawshank Redemption. Sorry, Joe
I
notated as I
abbreviated.
was, and I don't
Abbreviated
know
this
what he
list.
wrote
Yeah.
there.
Sorry.
Shawshank Redemption. It's been on my list since it came out. It's one of those movies that was on cable.
TNT.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Yeah.
on all the time. It's much better, obviously, when it's not edited for a PG audience.
Sure. Yeah.
But
You got to edit the
man,
sisters out there.
yeah, it's weird because it's so deliberately paced. You'd feel like you would get tired of it, right? It's not a fast-paced movie. It's not a short movie, but
But
at
it
the
kind
same
of
time, it's incredibly engaging.
it hooks you, right?
Oh, very much so. The characters are great. Obviously, it's got one of the all-time best mic drop endings in movie history. I feel
Mhm.
like. Um, so yeah, I've read the Stephen King story. I don't think it's nearly as good as what Frank Darabont did with the screenplay in the movie.
Did you read the story before you saw the movie?
No, I
So when you saw the movie, did you think that he was guilty
Oh
half the
yeah, for
movie?
sure.
You did.
It
Okay.
was one of those things. I mean, I was younger when I saw it, obviously for
Mhm.
the first time, and I spent a lot of time thinking, one, I don't know if he's guilty or not, and
Mhm.
two, at the end, when you know he's innocent, I don't know what happened in the prison cell.
Yeah.
Are we ending this on a dark note that
Yeah. Yeah.
that it ends horribly?
Yeah.
And the answer is no. So I like the movie. I still get the chills at the end when
Yeah.
he,
I hope to see my friend.
Andy wins and everybody else loses is kind of a nice moment.
I think
Still,
when you have a movie that's that famous, people hear about it before they see it. Obviously, kind of like The Sixth Sense.
right, right.
And so most people today, if they go watch The Shawshank Redemption, they're like, "Oh, this guy's innocent the whole time."
Right.
But like back in the day, the first time you see it, you're like, you have no idea.
I had no idea. Right.
So that's kind of a surprise twist there.
All right, what's your four?
Four, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. It's John Carpenter's The Thing, but I want to
1982?
'82,
Yep.
same year as E.T. and
Right.
Blade Runner, so it kind of got lost in the shuffle that year. But I wanted to shout out Halloween because like I always go back and forth between my four spot being The Thing or John Carpenter's Halloween.
I agree with your choice between the two.
Uh,
Halloween's great, obviously, but
yeah,
between the two, I prefer watching the thing.
it is a fun, nasty creature feature. I mean, it's a horror movie, but I consider it to be more of a sci-fi
Sure.
creature feature, like a whodunit mix. And you got bearded Kurt Russell. I mean, it is iconic. In most of Carpenter's movies, they kind of have like an old school feel to them, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's just a story of paranoia,
Yeah, you know?
like Cold War era paranoia,
Yes, yes.
which is it's so much. It's still so much fun. Obviously, the practical effects,
They hold up.
right?
They look cheesy. Look, we talk about this a lot with CG and like practical effects. Even practical effects, you can tell they're fake, but
For sure.
because they're real, they feel more tangible and it makes you feel a certain way, you know? Your eye is kind of tricked into it a little more.
Yeah.
Um but no, just the overall hangout vibe of that movie
Right.
I really enjoy. And Halloween I love because I watch it every Halloween, you know, and also that might be the best low budget movie ever made.
And shout out to the prequel or whatever it was.
The Thing,
Yeah, that was like 2012ish around
2011, yeah.
11. It's awful in a
Mhm.
way that not only is it just a terrible movie and proves that practical effects are better, but it ruins all the mystery of the first one.
Right?
So if
It's
you have
about yeah.
if you haven't seen the thing, don't watch the prequel first because it's going the first hour of that movie is going to completely ruin
The
the
beginning of
John
that movie.
Carpenter's. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It shouldn't exist.
It really shouldn't exist. And you know, Carpenter in the late '70s, early '80s, his work with Dean Cundey, I think, is as iconic as any movie.
Sure. All right, my four. Uh, it's Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's Magnolia. I know that's not a popular answer, but for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it's my overwhelming parent issues myself, but I absolutely love that movie. I love the performances in it, especially Tom Cruise. I still think it's his best performance of his career.
Yeah,
I think it will always be the best. He'll never top it as far as the performance goes.
him and Jason Robards, man.
I was
Oh,
I remember being viscerally upset as a younger lad when he did not win the Oscar for that. Instead, went to Michael Caine for
Cider House Rules.
Cider House Rules,
Yeah,
which I do not agree with that decision at all.
no,
But
Cider House Rules, good movie,
it
but
is.
but
It's a
it's
good movie.
Tom Cruise gave the
To
best performance of his
Tom,
career.
right? Yeah, that should have been Tom Cruise's award movie right there.
Won't
But
apologize for what I need.
right, yeah, exactly. It's his best character.
Mhm.
It's a 3 hour and 8 minute movie, but I can still sit down and watch it anytime. I absolutely love it.
I love PTA as well. You know,
Yeah,
I'm more of a Boogie Nights,
sure. I love
There Will
Boogie
Be
Nights.
Blood
Absolutely,
fan. You know what? I love Inherent Vice. That's one of my favorite
it's a
PTA
good one.
movies. But Magnolia, very Robert Altman esque.
What about your three?
My three is going to be Heat. Now,
Michael Mann.
and yeah, I'm a big Michael Mann guy. I take a lot of flack for loving Heat. I don't think it's a hot take because I think it has enough fans
No,
and defenders,
there are a lot of
but it
people
is
that
divisive.
absolutely love it. It is. I am, as you know,
Mhm.
I'm in the camp of people who do not like Heat. I thought it was I hated the ending so much, and this is
Yeah.
just me. I'm not saying I'm right, but I thought the ending was so contrived and corny
Mhm.
that I remember groaning out loud
Really?
at when they were holding hands as
Yeah.
as De Niro's dying at the airport. I was just like, oh, come on, and 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 that's what I'll say. I think the first hour of the movie
Mhm.
is masterful filmmaking. I really
Sure.
do. But I think the plot starts getting too neat with all the characters towards the
Mhm.
end.
Coincidental.
Yeah, very much so. We know what's going to De Niro, of course that's what's going to happen to him.
He's gonna break his rule.
He's going to break his rule and pay
Spoiler for
for it,
Heat.
right?
That's 30 years
Um
old.
whereas Val Kilmer's not going to break the rule and he's going to have to leave his love and blah blah. It just felt like every character fell on the line how you thought they were going to in a
Sure.
way that just it just felt too forced for me in the last hour.
Well, Heat and Magnolia kind of have a similar story structure. It's about all these
Sure.
different lives that are converging
Right.
into one path. You
Yeah.
know.
All the vignettes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just love Michael Mann's been my guy for a while, and
Yeah.
Heat might be the movie I've seen the most.
Sure.
But
And again, I respect people who like Heat. I'm not saying, oh my God, Heat's a bad movie. I just know it didn't resonate with me.
this is the one constant in my list, though. No matter how my list changes, 1 through 5, Heat is always number 3,
Right.
and so that's my 3.
My three is super bad.
Yeah,
It's my favorite comedy. It was
yeah,
really close between that and Tropic Thunder for my
yeah,
favorite comedy.
yeah.
But I can still watch. I saw super bad when I was young in the theater,
Uh-huh.
and I had to see it a second time because I was laughing so much I was missing dialogue the first time. So I was like, I knew after the movie, I was like,
Yeah.
I have to see this again because I was laughing. I was like out of breath, laughing too much that to have really caught everything. And on second viewing, I was right. It is hilarious all the way through.
It's a good story.
The simple fact that there's not much plot, thematically is kind of strong, right? It's the insecurity of losing your best friend and your friendships going in different directions.
Yeah, it's very relatable.
It is, but honestly, it's just really about the everything that can possibly go wrong on a hero's journey and some of the best comic dialogue ever. I don't know. I don't know if written's the word because I know a lot of it was ad libbed. Um,
Uh, well, ad libbing is still a form of writing, I guess.
sure,
In the moment.
but I mean, Michael Cera and Jonah Hill were rock stars in that,
Yeah.
but Bill Hader kind of stole the movie a little bit for me as well.
Oh no, it's the cops.
Yeah, God, he was. I didn't know who he was at the time.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'd ever
You
seen
said
him in.
Tropic Thunder. He was in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
He was
he was. Yeah,
SNL.
yeah. But I hadn't seen him on anything else. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen him on SNL before that. If his reign was before that, I just know that that's the first thing I'd seen him on, and he destroyed me.
This might be his first big role in a film. I think.
Right. It may be. I'm not sure.
But I'm with you. I saw it when I was way too young. I think I was in middle school when it came on Stars, and my friends and I we quoted it endlessly for better or for worse. We were saying things we probably shouldn't have said in middle school, but
Oh no, that is a film that there is no way would get. That's a
no.
lot of people say like, could you make this movie today? Tropic Thunder and Superbad are both hard nose.
It's funny because Superbad I feel like will be a movie that is timelessly relatable.
Oh, for sure,
It really is a high school experience.
it is.
And you know what? We all have been through a similar situation. That now this movie gets pretty crazy. I'm not saying we have the exact same experience, but I feel like anybody can put it on and really relate to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the blatant sexuality of it
Yes.
doesn't play well in today's culture, where we're
No.
supposed to kind of hide from the fact that you know boys think about sex.
Sure.
They
Well, Booksmart isn't a remake of Superbad, but it's very similar.
right from
So
the
I
other
mean,
perspective, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like as I look at like the detractors for like Oppenheimer,
Mhm.
the level of offense people are taking at Oppenheimer, which I find to be a pretty inoffensive movie.
Why are they
Uh,
offended by Oppenheimer?
didn't show the Japanese perspective. There's a lot of stuff.
Okay. I
The,
got you.
you know the it didn't have there was a lack of minority involvement in the
Oh,
casting.
sure. Okay, I
Um,
understand.
I guess let people like things, man.
If something is true to history, I agree. I agree with that. But I mean,
Right.
as far as
Well,
representation goes,
first off, the whole like, oh, this is a white supremacist movie, which a lot of people have said online. Um,
really,
yes, and it's like, he was Jewish, right? Like this isn't like a WASP guy.
it
So I mean,
was
I feel like a lot of the outrage is like everything else. It's really
it
contrived.
was sympathetic to communists almost. I feel like
Yeah,
maybe
right.
so. That's a whole other can of
Yeah,
worms.
we've wandered. Sorry. What's your two?
Inglorious Bastards.
That is one of my favorite Tarantino's.
I watched that in the theater with my grandpa in 2009, and I remember I was very young, but I watched it in the theaters. I remember walking out of the theater and being like, "I want to make movies."
That's honestly Tarantino, and I'll say this for him: a blueprint on exciting stuff in filmmaking. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I bet a lot of people, because I mean, look how many ripoffs and I'll say homages to Tarantino we've had since Pulp Fiction, right?
yeah. I mean,
Or Reservoir
Tarantino.
Dogs, even. Yeah,
Uh, I know you just got his book, Cinema Speculation. I've
right.
read the book. He has a real reverence for exploitation films, films from the
Which
70s.
surely shows in his films. Absolutely.
And if we were doing a top 10 list, I'm sure you'd see a lot of those films on our list. We love movies from the 70s. And he seems to be the only filmmaker today that's really speaking to those films, that's really trying to pull from that and try to capture that moment that happened in the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely. All right, my two, L.A. Confidential.
Oh, yeah.
Always, it's been one of my favorite movies since the first time I saw it. I
Curtis
still love
Hanson.
it. That movie to me proved that you can have a movie that's mostly people talking,
Yeah.
and it still be an engaging, brilliant film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We not everything has to be the spectacle of what's going on all over the place. L.A. Confidential is a speaking film that is exciting.
Very good film noir.
Yeah, it kind of feels akin to me to uh, Glengarry Glen Ross,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
have a really engaging film that's just about people talking. Which
Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of who wrote it. I can't think. I can't remember who wrote that movie.
Brian Hedlund directed it, and I think he might have written the screenplay too. I think Craig Hansen and Brian Hedlund wrote the
I think
screenplay and directed it
I
together.
think Curtis Hanson directed it, but I think you're right about Brian Hegland. directing it because he directed Payback as well. I think.
Sure. But yeah.
You might be right.
Anyway, between those two guys, they were writing and directing,
Yeah,
and they decided to do it together because they were both pitching screenplays
sure.
on it. But yeah, I absolutely love that film.
Is it based on a book?
Yeah, James Elroy
Hmm.
wrote it. In it, I've read the book too, and the book's fantastic.
Stat cast. And we need Russell Crowe to make a comeback
I'm
here.
telling you. All right.
My number one is Taxi Driver.
Doesn't surprise me. I know you're a huge fan.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and spend 5 minutes on Taxi Driver because like, what can I say that hasn't been said about the movie
Sure.
already? Perfect character study, um, about a man who is losing it, man.
Yeah.
I love the way New York is photographed in the film. I love the use of color. I love the music. De Niro might be the best actor who's ever lived. Um, it truly is a captivating look at insanity,
Right.
but it's oddly comforting. It's a great late night watch. It's very rewatchable, for me, anyways. Um,
It's pretty groundbreaking as a crime drama too, right? As far as like a realistic look at the grittiness of actual crime and not
I would say, so Paul Schrader wrote it, Scorsese directed it. Paul Schrader, it's almost more of a Schrader film than it is a Scorsese film. I mean,
sure.
Scorsese directs the hell out of it. But Paul Schrader's very influenced by like 60s and 50s French films, Pickpocket specifically, and A Man Escaped. And so those are all, first person character studies about a guy who is going through it.
Right.
So that is my little spiel on Taxi Driver. If you want to read more about it, if you've never seen Taxi Driver, please, please, please seek it out. You will not be disappointed.
It is a one of the all-time great movies for sure. My number one, actually, I did go to Tarantino as well, but I went with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I almost put this on the list.
I love Tarantino's movies. I love all his movies. I love, oh my God, Death Proof, which is I would
Yeah,
say
great car chase.
it's his
Might be one of the best.
it's his weakest movie,
Hmm.
and it's still a really good movie. That's how good
He has
his
no bedrooms.
exactly. That's how good his film catalog is. When his worst movie's still great, and it is. All of his movies are really good. I vacillate on which ones I like more.
Me too.
My list with him shifts kind of
Like I
depending.
said, this one's always in play.
Yeah, this one's always in play. Obviously, Pulp Fiction's always in play, and for me, Jackie Brown's always in play. Jackie Brown is an
Jackie Brown.
underappreciated movie out of his list, but I find Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to be I like the atmosphere of the time
Me too.
period that he kind
Me
of
too.
creates. It's it's kind of like a that as everyone says, like a love letter to old Hollywood. In
Yeah.
the summer of love, kind of before
Yeah.
the obviously the whole Helter Skelter thing happens and old
Yeah.
Hollywood dies, and we get into a darker the darker 70s of Hollywood.
Truly, I mean, that's it. The modern movie was made in the 70s,
Right.
and this is kind of
It predates
the
that.
send off.
We
Yeah.
just we just kind of predate that, so we get that feel and that pacing. We've got an incredible cast turning in incredible performances, and I love the revisionist history Tarantino ending.
Yeah.
Right?
Were you confused the first time you saw it?
No,
Like, I mean, as far as because when the movie was being like announced and like and marketed, we thought it was going to be the Manson movie.
we did. It was marketed as a Manson movie. So when you see the poster with DiCaprio and Pitt,
Yeah.
it's like, what do these guys have to do
Yeah.
with it? You know what I mean? Like, so as we get into the movie, sure, I'm like, I was like everyone else. I'm like, okay, when's it coming? When's it
Exactly.
coming?
That's what I meant.
I
Yeah.
mean, we show the girls, right?
Hmm.
We show Spawn Ranch,
Which was very creepy.
very creepy, and I thought, and I'm sure
Like
that
he's
was
gonna die.
intentionally. I thought something horrible was going to happen because they
I
built
did too.
when he walks into the house and you see the mouse kind of dying in
Yeah.
the trap. It's like this is ominous,
Yeah.
and it's like this is it, but it didn't happen. I know Tarantino was playing with this.
Yeah.
He was playing with the audience and like. I'm gonna build a horror scene that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
And it was great. And then when you get it, it's beautiful and it's hilarious
Yeah.
and it's so out of left field.
It's almost a comedy.
Right. And I think the fake out on the horror sequence halfway through,
Mhm.
when they get to the end, you don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
because he's like kind of yanked you around a little bit. It's like, is Brad Pitt about to get murdered here?
Yeah.
And it's absolutely it's hilarious. And then when you have the conversation at the end between DiCaprio and oh my God.
Margot Robbie. Well,
No, no,
it's
no.
Jay Sebring.
Yeah, Emil Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch. Yeah.
Between it's that I mean I don't know if it was just because of the release of what's been building the whole movie or what,
I think so.
but I was on the floor laughing during that conversation.
I
It
was too. The whole theater was.
yeah, it's the funniest thing. I've watched it with other people and they laughed all
Yep.
through that.
Mhm.
DiCaprio played it so straight there, but he was so funny in this movie.
He's
He should have
incredible.
won the Oscar for this movie.
With you. I think that's DiCaprio's best performance.
Yeah, it is. He was better in this than The Revenant. He was better in this than Titanic.
Wall Street.
The Aviator, whatever. I think this was his best performance. He carried the movie. Maybe the simple fact that Pitt stole so much thunder and obviously got his own Oscar for it is why DiCaprio kind of got
It's a healthy mix. It's a healthy
right.
blend, and
Right.
It feels
but
like they're both carrying the load.
yeah, but I right,
Yeah,
but I do feel like DiCaprio turned in the year's best performance right there.
I agree with you. And for my money, every time I watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it gets better.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's the first time I saw it in theaters, I was a little confused because I was like, "Is this the Manson movie? Is this going to happen?" You know,
Right.
and I was still enjoying it, and then it happens, and you're like, "What the hell?" And then you watch it again, and you're like, "Oh, this is incredible."
Yeah, it's utterly fantastic. Visually, it's amazing. Tarantino gave
The
us
soundtrack is
the
amazing.
soundtrack's great. Visually, kind of like we talked about, when we were watching Miss Maisel. Tarantino gives us a lot of exterior period exteriors
Hmm.
that aren't CGI. He put in the work. You know what I mean, and on all the attention to detail with
Yeah,
it, and it was just beautiful to look at.
it is. And
It's a beautiful film to watch for
if
sure.
you love movies, check it out
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it already.
yeah,
All right,
it's a
well,
good time.
that's our top five list, guys. Please let us
Right.
know what your favorite
Yeah,
movies are.
what are your favorite what are your I'll go to and watch anytime movies? I'm really curious what other people have on their list.
And if you guys want us to go in depth with any of these movies listed off here, go over to Patreon, leave us a comment. I would love to talk to you guys about that on Patreon.
Absolutely. Um, Thanks, guys. Keep in mind also that that's this week. Next week, our list can completely change
Yep,
because that's how it works when you like things.
it is.
All right, we'll catch you later, guys.